All right, let's dive right into an explainer of a television phenomenon so massive it literally stopped foot traffic in 1990s Tokyo. Office ladies disappear from the city on Mondays. Now, that wasn't just some catchy marketing tagline someone dreamt up. It was a documented reality. Back in the spring of 1996, female office workers would literally race home, totally abandoning the bustling streets of Tokyo, all for a 9 p.m. broadcast.
And just to give you a sense of the absolute grip this show had on the country, try 36.7%. Think about that for a second. A staggering 36.7% of the entire Japanese nation tuned in for the broadcast finale. In today's hyper-fragmented media landscape, a number like that is it's almost mythical. But back then, it was absolute proof of a collective national obsession. So, welcome to our deep dive into Long Vacation. Throughout this explainer, we're going to explore exactly why this wasn't just your standard run-of-the-mill romance, but a monumental cultural event that offered real solace during a national crisis. Written by the legendary Kitagawa Eriko, this really is the story of an era. But before we dig into its massive legacy, we've got to ask ourselves a core question. How exactly did a story about two mismatched roommates become the ultimate blueprint for modern Asian television? What was the secret sauce that made this so incredibly irresistible to millions of viewers? Well, let's jump straight into Section 1, the Monday night phenomenon, specifically looking at Fuji TV's legendary Getso 9 slot. You know, just earning that Monday 9 p.m. slot was a massive statement about the prestige level Long Vacation was aiming for, and the obsession just grew in real time. Debuting with a huge 30.6% rating, the series held steady week after week before totally exploding to that monstrous 36.7% for the finale. You can literally track a growing national fever that coined the very phrase we started with about the streets emptying out. But look, a great time slot alone doesn't guarantee a hit. The real engine driving this series is in Section 2, The Story and the Stars, which is really about a chaotic clash. The stark contrast between these two main characters is what drives the whole shebang. It opens with one of the most unforgettable moments in Japanese TV history. You have Hayama Minami, a 31-year-old fading model, sprinting through Tokyo in a full traditional wedding kimono because she was literally just jilted on her wedding day. She bursts into the apartment of her missing fiancé, only to find his 24-year-old roommate, Senna Hidetoshi. And Senna is basically everything she's not: quiet, hunched, introverted, and passively struggling as a pianist. Minami just totally steamrolls her way into moving in with him. Now, this setup could have easily felt super contrived, right? But the execution was just a masterclass. The astonishing performances of the leads totally grounded it. Takuya Kimura plays Senna with this hypnotic physical stillness at the piano. A slightly hunched posture, long quiet pauses. Opposite him, Tomoko Yamaguchi turns what could have been a totally exhausting, overbearing character into someone who is just incredibly luminous and irresistible. Actually, get this. This was Kimura's first lead role, and it literally launched what people called the Kimutaku syndrome, where every single piece of clothing he wore instantly sold out everywhere. And the supporting cast was honestly just as magical, expanding this from a simple romance into a really rich ensemble. You had Yutaka Takenuchi playing Minami's younger brother, Shinji. Takenuchi actually grew a real beard for the role, which created this incredibly magnetic contrast of physical confidence against Senna's sort of shy reticence. Throw in incredible performances from Takako Matsu, Izumi Namori, and a super fresh-faced Ryoko Hirasue making her debut, and the whole cast just felt deeply real and beautifully imperfect. To truly appreciate this production, you have to hear some of this behind-the-scenes gold. For instance, that iconic finale kiss, entirely unscripted. Kimura and Yamaguchi literally just improvised it on the spot. And on the day of the final broadcast, they did an unprecedented live broadcast all the way from London just to promote it. Plus, the show has this amazing ambient authenticity to it. The smoking scenes were genuine because the actors actually smoked on set, and they wore their own real 90s streetwear. It was so culturally significant that in 2019, Fuji TV even held a massive exhibit for it, cementing it as one of the defining works of the entire Heisei era. But you simply can't talk about Long Vacation without talking about the music. So let's move to Section 3, The Sound of 1996. The soundtrack, produced by the JRMB unit, Cagnet, sold over 1 million copies. Over 1 million! That is an absolutely staggering, practically unheard of achievement for a television drama score. Tracks like Close to You, Senna no Piano 2 basically trigger a Pavlovian wave of nostalgia for anyone who watched Japanese TV in the spring of '96. The music wasn't just background noise, it was as much a character as the actors themselves. And then, of course, there's the opening theme, LA 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 Love Song by Toshinobu Kubota. The decision to feature Naomi Campbell, who was at the absolute peak of her global supermodel fame at the time, was just a brilliant piece of metacasting. I mean, think about it. Here you have a drama about a struggling, past her prime model, and the theme song features the biggest supermodel in the world. It perfectly glamorized the show while playfully winking at Minami's harsh reality. Let's transition over to Section 4, Japan's Lost Decade. Because this right here is where the show elevates from being just a really good romance to an absolute cultural touchstone. To really understand why this show hit so incredibly hard, we have to talk about the Lost Decade. Back in 1991, Japan's massive asset price bubble collapsed, and it plunged the country into prolonged economic stagnation. So by 1996, the country was filled with young adults who had grown up completely expecting the economic miracle to just last forever. Suddenly, they were slamming into a devastating reality where that promise of endless prosperity simply vanished. So the most crucial takeaway of this entire explainer is how the show handled that heavy context. The thing is, the show never explicitly preaches about the lost decade, and it honestly didn't need to. Literally every character on screen is either unemployed, underemployed, or just totally stuck. Minami's modeling gigs are drying up, Senna can't pass a single audition. These characters naturally mirrored the exact pain the audience was feeling. But instead of leaning into tragedy, the show did something beautiful. It gave people permission to view failure not as a source of shame, but simply as a temporary pause. Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, the ultimate drama blueprint. Let's zoom back out and look at how this highly specific emotional document basically laid the foundation for modern television across all of Asia. Long Vacation essentially pioneered the very TV tropes we see literally everywhere today. That whole cohabitation romance structure, that powers like half of all modern Korean, Chinese, and Thai dramas right now. Normalizing the slightly transgressive older woman and younger man dynamic, that was pretty shocking back in 1996, and today it's a beloved staple. And the slow burn, making viewers wait 11 full episodes for an emotional payoff, taught audiences the profound value of patience in visual storytelling. Its legacy is so enduring that a Korean remake was actually announced recently, almost 30 years after the original aired. That just goes to show you that a masterfully written, character-driven story about feeling completely stuck and trying to find your way, that never really expires. The emotional core of this thing is completely timeless. And we can trace the sheer, unadulterated dominance of Takuya Kimura's career directly back to this very show. He holds 5 of Japan's top 10 all-time TV ratings records. 5. Literally no other actor in Japanese television history has achieved anything like this. And it all stems from this pre-commercial integration masterpiece, a show whose visual richness came from showcasing real Tokyo, real street fashion, and just incredibly raw, honest performances. I want to leave you with this beautiful, lingering thought from Senna that essentially serves as the thesis for the entire series. When nothing goes right, just think of it as a vacation from God. I think that perfectly captures why doing an explainer on this show matters. When the world stalls and when your own life feels completely stuck, maybe that stillness isn't a failure. Maybe it's not the end of the road at all, but just the beginning. So if life suddenly hits the brakes for you, how will you spend your vacation from God?